Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kitbadger.com, out here for another gear review, and today, talking about this guy right here, which is Das Boot from Die Free Company. So, what is it? What does it do? Well, it's pretty rad. It is a base plate that adds +2 to any of your Gen 3 PMags, whether it is the 10, or in this case, 20 rounder, 30 rounder, or 40 rounds. So, right here, I have 22 rounds, and more importantly, I actually have an awesome surface to actually shoot off of that lets me, in conjunction with this 20 round magazine, get as low as possible to be able to keep the lowest possible kind of silhouette I can have, still shoot this gun, depressing or elevating the muzzle. This thing is rad. And so, yeah, how about a origin story? So it's pretty fitting that I'm here at Thunder Ranch, and behind me is the Punisher. It's an amazing prop line. Starts in a phone booth, goes through all kinds of different things. And ultimately you can run it with a pistol, shoot through it, shoot it with a shotgun, rifle, carbine, bolt gun, whatever. And you have targets that are obviously pistol targets closer, all the way out to like 700 yards. And really, it just comes down to problem solving. Like, hey, use what you have in front of you, try to get concealment, if not cover, and get your hits. Figure it out as you go. Tons and tons of fun. But one of the props down there definitely gives people a run for their money. So behind me right here is a truck bed. And when you get here, you have to climb up, get down in the back of that bed, and there's a small cutout in the back, and you need to shoot out of it. Problem being, especially with a carbine, with a 30 round magazine, you drop your gun down, and if you're lucky, the barrel will clear and your optic absolutely won't. Again, this whole thing is about problem solving. So how do you address it? Well, you can absolutely tilt your gun to where you can, and again, man, it's not very wide, I'll show you it in a minute. So you can get away, depending, as long as you don't have like a crazy high riser, you can get away with actually tilting your gun, but depending on how far you're shooting, that comes with a long tail. So now what is the bullet doing if my optic and everything is canted this way? Again, problem solving. So another method is you take that 30 round magazine out, and now you have to use actually a fair bit of muscle support to keep it up, get your hits that way. Of course, if you need to make more than one hit, or if you miss, to get that magazine, get it back in there, charge it, shoot it. Or Clint Smith, his recommendation, always carry a 20 round magazine. Never know when you need to get low. Not wrong. And so I remember shooting through this and coming away from it, and I'm like, man, there's got to be a better way to basically do this. Because as much as I love, especially like aluminum USGI mags, they are definitely shorter than your grip. So if you throw the gun down, it drops like this. And while there are Magpul's, in my experience, I have one. I'm pretty sure they come in a 3-pack. I gave away the other 2 probably because I'm like, well, I just want one. Usually it would stay in the gun. I'd use it for competition, stuff like that. And they don't play well with carrying mags on you or anything like that. It's basically like a big cloven hoof coming out the bottom. And on top of that, they're really good. If you drop your gun down and that's where you're shooting, they are the most stable thing out there, for sure. If for whatever reason you need to dip or elevate your muzzle, you're back to a USGI 30 round magazine where you're basically just riding on a edge. So I was like, man, who do I know that can help with this? So called my buddy Patrick. I ended up meeting my buddy Patrick back in 2018, I guess it was. He was working for Q, super talented industrial designer, and previously he actually worked for Accuracy International. Super awesome guy. Got to be friends, kept in touch. He eventually parted ways with Q and started his own company, which was Rev Firearms. So if you remember, and I guess this conversation probably happened circa 2021 or something. And so if you remember, around that time, or I guess coming into beginning of 2022, he and I were working on a collaboration, which was the Stoner rifle grip. thing's awesome. And fast forward, I guess, he ended up merging with another mutual friend, Adam, who also used to work at Q, and they started Die Free Company. And then they eventually took that Stoner rifle grip, got a mold so they can make it way more affordable. When we sold them, they were super expensive because they were expensive to get made. But they ended up coming out with Kung Fu grip, the Tiger Claw, all kinds of cool products. Anyway, this being back in 2021, 2022-ish, I was like, hey man, here's the problem, here's what I want. Problem being, I want to get as low as I possibly can with a rifle to shoot from a good stable position with ideally a 20 rounder. Kind of immediately threw out USGI mags because they don't play well as far as base plates, and very quickly like PMag was the answer because really easy to swap these out. It's toolless, super easy. And so he started working on, well, actually at that same time, he was working on another project that actually dovetailed with this. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm working on this. And of course, me being me, I'm like, okay, cool, I don't care about that. I need the thing to do this thing. And so fortunately, these projects were working in conjunction with each other, going back and forth. Went through a bunch of different iterations till finally I had stuff in hand. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, and then we were getting close. Finally, I got one, tried it, which was actually almost identical to this. And I'm like, man, we are almost there. But basically, it was shorter. So it was just enough to give this radius that's textured. I'll show you guys a close up in a bit. Thing's actually awesome. It'll grip anything. But it was like really thin, which is really nice because you could get really low. But then what I found out is when I'd prone out, while I could depress the muzzle, I could not elevate it. I would immediately run into the pistol grip. And I'm like, man, we are so close. So he's like, okay, I got this. Sure enough, he did, and basically increased this dimension a little bit. Really fortuitous because what that turned into is a +2 base plate that does exactly what my intent was as far as create something as low as you can possibly get, really stable, and the ability to press or raise the muzzle depending on where you need to shoot. And now you get 2 extra rounds, which is really cool. Since then, used a bunch of these prototypes. I think the last thing, I don't know, I've been using them a lot. I know I definitely shot the, I guess it was Midnight Brutality 2024, used them there. Yeah, used them a bunch. And finally, here they are. As I mentioned, here we are in the back of this truck bed, and as you can imagine, with a 30 round magazine, we're looking at that. And even if you turn it, you can very quickly run into problems clearing both the muzzle as well as your optic. So with this, drop that guy in there. I can depress, probably not too much, shoot the back of this, but I can very easily shoot this target at 100 yards. I can also come up and shoot out to 200 yards. Thing is awesome. Of course, does it work as intended in the prone? Absolutely. And you can basically drive this thing in. And what's nice is there's a radius on there. What that allows is rather than having something to where you're always just on one edge, like a USGI mag, or even, like I said, as much as I like the Magpul's, really good on one angle. As soon as you come off, you're on the edge. This gives you at least a fair bit, and it's textured. So you can drive it in there. I can depress it. I can elevate, go out to 400 there. Thing is rad. Of course, obviously prone out on the ground, but pretty much any surface, get behind it, get nice and stable. Thing is really, really cool. This right here is the base plate. As you can see, there's a bunch of texture down here, and the way it's basically curved, you're always getting some of it regardless of the angle that your muzzle is depressed or elevated in. Thing is really cool. This one is the last of the printed prototypes. They of course have since then made a mold, and they will be molded polymer. It is basically the same method as your regular Magpul. You essentially, that piece in there, drive that piece down, like that, run that guy out, and well, I guess we did it in reverse. We basically take the base plate that comes on your Gen 3 PMag, drop that guy on there, and run it across, and then just make sure, there we go, yeah, there we go. Make sure the tab basically goes all the way in and locks itself in there. As you can tell, I'm actually really stoked about these things. Das Boot, which, quick aside, I kind of wish we went with at least one of the other names. Now I'm blanking on it. I want to say we're thinking about like 992. Does that sound right? I'll throw it in because I'm forgetting, but you know the New Balance, like old man New Balance shoes? We're like, oh, let's just name it after that. Like, that'd be great, but it's Das Boot. And like I said, I'm excited because I just want to use more of them. I've had, I don't know, probably 3 or 4, as well as like a box of prototypes along the way. And I'm looking forward to putting them on a bunch of magazines because unlike other options, they're actually pretty slim with respect to the profile of the magazine. So they're not, unlike, again, some different base plates, whether they're mag extensions or just base plates, they don't play well with gear, turn into a snag hazard, things like that. And, or especially if you try and stack mags, which, I don't know, circa early 2000s, if you decide you're never gonna go prone, but no, there's a time and place. But if you remember like the old PMags, they were really flared at the bottom, so you could not stack them without creating a huge snag hazard when you try and draw one out like the other one's on the ground now. So this alleviates kind of all of that. And yeah, they're rad. And it's cool just seeing them finally out there. And +2, who doesn't want 2 extra rounds? And the lowest possible profile you can get to shoot prone with a rifle. But if you're interested, you get them directly through Die Free Company. There'll be a link down below. You can check them out. And yeah, as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.